Welcome back to Slow Living. If you're new here, my name's Esther and I try to sew stuff that supports a slow lifestyle. In this video, I'll show you how to take up your jeans, but with a little bit of a twist, because some jeans come with a bit of distressing or maybe a bit of detailing on the hem of the jeans. And so if you take them up, you lose all that detail. So in this video, I will show you how, in a little sort of, it's like a bit of a hack. It's not a proper way to take up pants, but in this video, I'll show you how you can take up your jeans and keep that original hem so that you keep some of the detail that make up a nice pair of jeans. Let's get started.
So as you can see, these are the jeans that I picked up recently that are quite long in length because they are that sort of wide leg style. They look even longer when they're sort of covering my feet. Here is the distressing on the bottom of the hem. It might not look that obvious, but here when I turn it up, you can see that you lose all of that if you took these jeans up the traditional way, which is why I'm going to show you how to do it without losing that. First off, you need to try your jeans on and cuff them like this to the length that you want them to be finished at. But do keep in mind that we're going to add the width of the hem to wherever you have cuffed it. So the way that we're taking up the jeans, as you can see here, is that we're adding that tiny bit of hem to wherever we've cuffed the jeans. So for me, I wanted to take up my jeans 4 centimeters in total length, which means that I actually cuffed them 5 centimeters because that little bit of hem is going to come down and take away a centimeter from that. So the 5 centimeters that I've cuffed it at minus the 1 centimeter of hem is going to mean that I take up my jeans 4 centimeters in total. So just make sure that you get that calculation right, and then you can start pinning your jeans up so that they're nice and even all the way around. Then you can do the same to the other side, making sure that you use a measuring tape, otherwise your leg lengths will be different. Now, to get the best result, we really need to use a thread that matches the shade of your jeans as closely as possible. See here, you can barely see the thread on my pair of jeans, and you should aim to do the same because that will make the stitch a lot more subtle. Use quite a fine needle because denim is quite thick and you're going to need to be able to pierce through the denim. And we also want to sew with 2 lengths of thread, and all you have to do is thread your needle normally and then pull the lengths of thread all the way so that they're an equal length. That way you'll be sewing with 2 threads instead of just 1. So to begin, we just need to anchor our thread down, and you do that just by sewing a tiny little stitch and then just tying a couple of basic knots. Make sure you tie more than 1, so I guess maybe 2 or 3 is a good number of knots so that it's nice and secure. And then just trim off the excess from the end of the knot so that it doesn't get in the way. And now we can begin to do a line of stitching just under the hemline. So we're going to use that straight hem where my needle is parallel to right now. Use that as a guide so that you can sew nice and straight in a basic running stitch. So a running stitch is the very classic, the most easy stitch you can think of when you think of sewing. You just need to take care to go through both layers of fabric, of course, but it's a really good idea to use that hem as a guideline to get a really nice straight stitch. The straighter your stitches are, the more neat this hem will be finished. And since we're doing this by hand, we want to take it nice and slow and make sure that all your stitches are nice and neat and not too big as well. You want to aim for around, I think maybe 3 mil is a good stitch length. If you try and do big, massive stitches like 1 centimeter or more to try and get the job done quickly, you will not be satisfied with the result. I can always guarantee it, and it'll just look really messy, and it won't turn out how you'd like it to be. This is what it should look like on the underside of where you're doing your stitches. Because the thread matches pretty well, you can't really see it, but I'm going to flip this over and I'll show you our progress so far. So as I flip this over, you can see we've actually created a new seam, but we've hidden it in alignment with the existing hem, so that when we iron it down, you actually can't really see that there's a seam there at all. So continue to sew all the way around both of your hems, and then you can skip ahead to the 6-minute 30 mark because I'm going to explain how to do this on a sewing machine in the next few minutes. If you would like to do this adjustment with a sewing machine, you'll actually need a few extra bits and bobs. You'll need something like this, which is called a compensating foot. And the reason for that is because one side allows you to compensate for having a lot of bulk. See where there's so much fabric, it allows us to actually sit nicely along that edge. You could also use a skinny foot, which means that the foot legs are actually very, very thin, and that will also allow you to get nice and close to the edge. And this one here, I have no idea what it's called, but it sort of only has really half of the foot width, and that really allows me, because you can see that tiny little cutout dot is where the needle's going to sew, and it will allow me to sit really nice and close to that edge. If you only have a flat foot, which is the sort of normal foot that would come with any type of standard sewing machine, this won't really work that well because the foot won't allow you to sit on that edge, and your seam will sit too far away from the hem, and it'll make it quite obvious that you've tried to take up your hem in an unconventional way. So I highly suggest that if you don't have the right type of foot, that you should just do this by hand. Since we're just doing a couple of jean hems, it's really not going to take that long to sew by hand, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So revert to that technique if you don't have the correct foot. One thing to be wary of if you are using a sewing machine is when you're going over these really bulky side seams of the jeans. They're really, really thick bits of fabric because there's about 4 to 6 layers of denim in there. So you really want to slow down your machine and go over it nice and slowly. When you've gone around both hems of your jeans, they should start to look like this. They're almost finished, except that now you have this bit of material that sits underneath, and it could really easily fall down when you're walking and look very unsightly. So to prevent that from happening, we want to pop the bit of fabric up hidden underneath the jeans, and we're going to sew on that side seam on both sides, just a few little stitches to keep that fabric in place so that it won't drop down. This is just as easy to do by hand, so if you're hand sewing, just do maybe 2 or 3 little stitches. Make sure that you tie your knots nice and securely so they don't come undone, but it's just as easily done with a machine as well. These stitches shouldn't be visible from the inside or really the outside, and just check that it's keeping everything nice and secure. Now all that is left to do is give the pants a really nice press. This is really important because it will really seal that seam down in place. It will make it nice and subtle and finish the jeans off with a really nice crisp edge.
So I hope that this video was helpful for you. I hope that your jeans turned out great. I would love to see if you had a go. You can find me on Instagram, so tag me in your pictures at Slew Living, and that's slow with an E. Otherwise, leave a comment below if you found this video helpful or interesting, or if you had any suggestions for what I could do next. If you've got anything sewing wise or sustainable style wise that you think I might be able to help with, just feel free to leave a question or comment below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. If you found this video helpful as well, leave a thumbs up because it leaves me with some nice warm fuzzies, knowing that there are people getting some value out of these videos, and I will see you in another video soon.